Welcome students. Today we are going to start with textual analysis of the chapter Indigo written by Louis Fisher. As far as the background of the chapter, the introduction, the characters is concerned, we have discussed that already in the previous lecture. So let us straight start with the text. And it reads like, when I first visited Gandhi in 1942 at his ashram in Sevagram in central India, he said, I will tell you how it happened that I decided to urge the departure of British. It was in 1917. He had gone to December 1916 annual convention of the Indian National Congress Party in Lucknow. There were 2,301 delegates and many visitors. During the proceedings, Gandhi recounted, a peasant came up to me looking like any other peasant in India, poor and emaciated, and said, I am Rajkumar Shukla, I am from Champaran and I want you to come to my district. Gandhi had never heard of the place. It was in the foothills of the towering Himalayas near the kingdom of Nepal. So here in these lines, convention means agreement, delegate stands for representatives, peasants they are the small farmers, emaciated means thin, and Champaran is a place in Bihar. So we are informed in these lines where the author he explains about his first interaction with Mahatma Gandhi. He says he first met Gandhi in 1942 at his ashram, which was in Sevagram. It was located in central India. Gandhi said that he would tell him about his struggle against the British, which first took place in the year 1917. He says that in the month of December in the year 1916, Mahatma Gandhi went to attend the annual meeting of the National Congress at Lucknow. There were about 2,301 representatives and visitors. Gandhi recalled that a small farmer named Rajkumar Shukla came to him, who was poor and thin. He requested Gandhi to visit Champaran, a place in the foothills of the Himalayan mountain range near the kingdom of Nepal. Next, the text continues. Under an ancient arrangement, the Champaran peasants were sharecroppers. Rajkumar Shukla was one of them. He was illiterate but resolute. He had come to the Congress session to complain about the injustice of the landlord system in Bihar, and somebody had probably said, speak to Gandhi. So here in these lines, sharecroppers means a tenant farmer who gives a part of each crop as rent, and resolute means determined. So we are told here that Rajkumar Shukla, he told Gandhi that he was a sharecropper. Sharecropper, that is which I just told you, that is a farmer who gives a part of the crop as a rent to the owner of that piece of land that he cultivates. He told him that because of an old agreement, many of the peasants in Champaran were sharecroppers. He had come to meet Gandhi on someone's suggestion, as he was determined to find a solution for the sharecroppers who were facing hardships due to this agreement. He sought Gandhiji's help. Next, the text continues. Gandhi told Shukla he had an appointment in Kanpur and was also committed to go to other parts of India. Shukla accompanied him everywhere. Then Gandhi returned to his ashram near Ahmedabad. Shukla followed him to the ashram. For weeks he never left Gandhi's side. Fix a date, he begged. So here in these lines, committed means dedicated, accompanied means go somewhere with someone as a companion or escort. And then Kanpur, it is the British name for the city of Kanpur. So after hearing his problem, Gandhi told him that he had to visit Kanpur and some other parts of India due to prior appointments. Shukla went with him everywhere. After this, Gandhi returned to his ashram near Ahmedabad, and Shukla was always there with him for several weeks, and he begged him to fix a date to visit Champaran. Next, the text continues. Impressed by the sharecropper's tenacity and story, Gandhi said, I have to be in Calcutta on such and such date. Come and meet me and take me from there. Months passed. Shukla was sitting on his haunches at the appointed spot in Calcutta when Gandhi arrived. He waited till Gandhi was free. Then the two of them boarded a train for the city of Patna in Bihar. There Shukla led him to the house of a lawyer named Rajendra Prasad, who late became the president of the Congress party and of India. Rajendra Prasad was out of town, but the servants knew Shukla was a poor yeoman who pestered their master to help the Indigo sharecroppers, so they let him stay on the ground with his companion Gandhi, whom they took to be another peasant. But Gandhi was not permitted to draw water from the well, lest some drops from his bucket pollute the entire source. How did they know that he was not an untouchable? Tenacity here means determination, haunches means thighs, boarded means get on or enter. Yeoman is it is for a man who cultivates a small piece of land. Pestered means bothered, and then permitted means allowed. So in these lines we come to know that Gandhi, he was totally impressed with the determination of the peasant, and he said that he would be visiting Kolkata after a few months, and that Shukla should meet him there on the day that had been fixed. And Shukla was eagerly waiting for Gandhi. When Gandhi got free, they both took a train to Patna, and then they went to the house of a lawyer, Rajendra Prasad, who later became the president of India. When they went to the house of Rajendra Prasad only, and when they reached there, he was not at home, but the servants they allowed both of them to stay at the grounds, because they knew Shukla, and they all knew him because Shukla used to assist their master in helping Indigo sharecroppers. They didn't allow Gandhi to draw water from their well, as they took him to be an untouchable, and they didn't want to pollute the entire source of water. That's why they didn't allow him. Next, the text continues. Gandhi decided to first go to Muzaffarpur, which was en route to Champaran, to obtain a more complete information about the conditions that Shukla was capable of imparting. He accordingly sent a telegram to Professor J.B. Kriplani of Arts College in Muzaffarpur, whom he had seen at Tagore's Shantiniketan school. The train arrived at midnight, 15 April 1917. Kriplani was waiting at the station with a large body of students. Gandhi stayed there for 2 days in the home of Professor Malkani, a teacher in a government school. So here in these words, en route means on the way, imparting means pass on. So we are informed in these lines that Shukla was not able to provide Gandhi with the adequate information. Therefore, Gandhi decided to go to Muzaffarpur, which was on the way to Champaran, so that he could obtain the complete information before reaching Champaran. So he sent a telegram to a Professor J.B. Kriplani, who was a teacher of Arts College in Muzaffarpur. Gandhi had seen him at Tagore Shantiniketan school, Shantiniketan school, which was established by Tagore. Gandhi took a train to Muzaffarpur, and that arrived at midnight on 15th April 1917. Kriplani was already waiting there with his students. So Gandhi, he stayed there for 2 days at Professor Malkani's home, who was a teacher in a government school at that time. Next, the text continues. It was an extraordinary thing in those days, Gandhi commented, for a government professor to harbour a man like me. In small localities, the Indians were afraid to show sympathy for advocates of Home Rule. The news of Gandhi's advent and of the nature of his mission spread quickly through Muzaffarpur and to Champaran. Sharecroppers from Champaran began arriving on foot by conveyance to see their champion. Muzaffarpur lawyers called on Gandhi to brief him. They frequently represented peasants group in court. They told him about their cases and reported the size of their fee. So in these lines here, extraordinary is for the exceptional or remarkable, harbour means entertain, sympathy here stands for support or pity, advocate means supporter, protector, advent means arrival, and conveyance stands for transportation. So here we are informed that according to Gandhi, it was a remarkable thing that a government professor was entertaining him, because in those days people in small localities were afraid of supporting those who supported Home Rule. The news of Gandhi's arrival and the purpose of his mission spread through Muzaffarpur and Champaran very fast, and then sharecroppers, they started visiting Gandhi. Muzaffarpur lawyers informed Gandhi about the whole situation as they represented various peasants in the court. So they explained to him about their cases and the fee they charged, means they were charging from those peasants. Next, the text continues. Gandhi chided the lawyers for collecting big fee from sharecroppers. He said, I have come to the conclusion that we should stop going to the law courts. Taking such cases to the court does little good, where the peasants are so crushed and fear-stricken. Law courts are useless. The real relief for them is to be free from fear. Most of the arable land in Champaran district was divided into large estates owned by Englishmen and worked by Indian tenants. The chief commercial crop was indigo. The landlords compelled all tenants to plant 3/20 or 15% of their holdings with indigo and surrender the entire indigo harvest as rent. This was done by long-term contract. So here in these lines, chided means criticize or scold. Conclusion stands for result or end of something. Fear stricken, that means someone who is afraid. Arable means land suitable for farming. Tenants, they are the occupants paying rent in cash or that kind only. Estate means property. Compelled means forced. Surrendered stand for to give in, and contract is agreement. Indigo, it is a plant that produces a blue color dye. So here in these lines we come to know that Gandhi, he scolded the lawyers for charging such high fee from poor sharecroppers. He decided that it was useless to go to the courts as the judiciary was not doing anything good for the peasants. He said that as long as the peasants were suppressed and full of fear, it was useless to visit the courts. He wanted to set them free from fear. Most of the cultivable land in Champaran district was owned by Englishmen who had divided them into various estates. The peasants were the occupants of these lands, and Englishmen, they forced the peasants to cultivate indigo on 15% of their land and to give the crop to them as rent. All this was done through a long-term agreement. Presently, the landlords, they learned that Germany had developed synthetic indigo. So they came to know that some synthetic indigo had been developed by Germany. So what they started, they thereupon obtained agreements from the sharecroppers to pay them compensation for being released from the 15% agreement. So here in these lines, we are informed that the whole injustice was being done with those poor peasants. So the text reads like, the sharecroppers' arrangement was irksome to the peasants and many signed willingly. Those who resisted engaged lawyers, the landlords hired thugs, Meanwhile, the information about synthetic indigo reached the illiterate peasants who had signed, and they wanted their money back. So here in these lines we come to know that how all the peasants they were being deceived. So in this passage, leaned means come to know, synthetic, commercial based, artificial, and then compensation is payments, arrangement is for process, irksome means irritating something, and then resisted means opposed, and thugs stands for cheats, illiterate is uneducated. So in this whole passage we come to know that while all this was going on, means this way they were being deceived, the landlords came to know about the chemical indigo being prepared by Germany, that it was a blue color dye made with chemicals. So they started demanding money from the poor peasants in order to cancel their agreements, as they no longer required the indigo plantation. The sharecropper system was very annoying. So many of the peasants paid for the cancellation of the agreement. But as the news about synthetic indigo spread and reached the uneducated peasants, they started demanding their money back. So next the text reads like, at this point Gandhi arrived in Champaran. He began by trying to get the facts. First he visited the secretary of British Landlords Association. The secretary told him that they could give no information to an outsider. Gandhi answered that he was no outsider. Next, Gandhi called on the British official commissioner of the Tirhat division in which the Champaran district lay. The commissioner, Gandhi reports, proceeded to bully me and advised me forthwith to leave Tirhat. So in these lines, proceeded means begin a course of action. Bully means trying to harm others, considering them to be weak, and forthwith, immediately, at once. So in these lines we are informed that when Gandhiji he arrived at Champaran, he decided to gather the facts, complete facts. For this he visited secretary of the British Landlords Association. The secretary didn't answer him because he could not give any information to an outsider. After this, Gandhi he went to commissioner of the Tirhat division. Champaran district was under Tirhat division only. So the commissioner not only threatened Gandhi but also suggested him to leave Tirhat immediately. Next, the text reads like, Gandhi did not leave. Instead, he proceeded to Motihari, the capital of Champaran. Several lawyers accompanied him. At the railway station, a vast multitude greeted Gandhi. He went to a house and using its headquarters, using it as headquarters, continued his investigations. A report came in that a peasant had been maltreated in a nearby village. Gandhi decided to go and see. The next morning, he started out on the back of an elephant. He had not proceeded far when the police superintendent's messenger overtook him and ordered him to return to the town in his carriage. Gandhi complied. The messenger drove Gandhi home, where he served him with an official notice to quit Champaran immediately. Gandhi signed a receipt for the notice and wrote on it that he would disobey the order. So in these lines, accompanied means go along with someone. Multitude, it is a large number of people. Investigations, they are inquiries. Maltreated means very ill treated. Superintendent is manager or supervisor. Overtook means went ahead of him, and complied means followed or obeyed. So in these lines we are informed that though Gandhi was threatened by the commissioner, he didn't leave the place. He then went to Motihari, which was the capital of Champaran. He was joined by several lawyers. When they reached the station, they were welcomed by a large number of people. He then went to a house which was later converted into his headquarters. He started his inquiry into the matter. Gandhi decided to visit a nearby village when he came to know about an incident of ill treatment with a peasant. He was on his way on an elephant when the superintendent's messenger stopped him and ordered him to return back to the town. Gandhi followed him and the messenger took him back to his home. He was then served a notice which ordered him to quit his movement and return back. Gandhi received the notice and signed a receipt on it, and on that receipt only he wrote that he would not obey the order. So next the text reads like, in consequence, Gandhi received the summons to appear in court the next day. All night Gandhi remained awake. He telegraphed Rajendra Prasad to come from Bihar with influential friends. He sent instructions to the ashram. He wired a full report to the viceroy, and morning found the town of Motihari black with peasants. They did not know Gandhi's record in South Africa. They had merely heard that a Mahatma who wanted to help them was in trouble with the authorities. Their spontaneous demonstration in thousands around the courthouse was the beginning of their liberation from fear of British. So here in these lines, consequence, it means result, influential stands for powerful, wired means telegraph, merely, only, and then authorities is for official power, spontaneous that means voluntary, unforced, demonstrations that is protest, courthouse means court building, and liberation stands for release. So we are informed that when Gandhi was served the notice to, means he was summoned in court as a result, because he was summoned in court to appear next day. So Gandhi wasn't able to sleep the whole night, but he prepared. He telegraphed Rajendra Prasad, asked him to come to Bihar and get some powerful people along. He sent some guidelines to ashram and also telegraphed the whole matter to the viceroy. Next morning, Motihari was full of peasants as they wanted to support Gandhi. None of them they knew about his works in South Africa. They only knew that there was a Mahatma who wanted to help them and was in trouble due to the officials. They started gathering in front of the courthouse. So this whole incident was their first attempt of setting themselves free from the fear of the British. Next, the text reads like, the officials felt powerless without Gandhi's cooperation. He helped them regulate the crowd. He was polite and friendly. He was giving them concrete proof that their might, hitherto dreaded and unquestioned, could be challenged by Indians. The government was baffled. The prosecutor requested the judge to postpone the trial. Apparently, the authorities wished to consult their superiors. So, in these lines, concrete stands for some solid, and then hitherto means earlier or previously, dreaded, regarded with the great fear or apprehension, unquestioned means not examined or inquired into, baffled means confused, prosecutor is lawyer or barrister, postpone stands for delay, and apparently means seemingly or evidently. So in these lines we are informed as the crowd had gathered in front of the court building, it became difficult for the officers to control the mob. They had to take Gandhi's help to regulate the crowd. Gandhi politely told the officials that if they would misuse their power, then there were chances that they would have to face a revolt from the Indians. As the situation was getting tougher, the lawyer requested the court to postpone the trial by some days. The authorities decided to first consult the higher authorities. So next the text continues. Gandhi protested against the delay. He read a statement pleading guilty. He was involved, he told the court, in a conflict of duties, on the one hand not to set a bad example as a lawbreaker, on the other hand to render the humanitarian and national service for which he had come. He disregarded the order to leave not for want of respect for lawful authority, but in obedience to the higher law of our being, the voice of conscience. He asked the penalty due. The magistrate announced that he would pronounce sentence after a 2-hour recess and asked Gandhi to furnish bail for those 120 minutes. Gandhi refused. The judge released him without bail. So, in these lines, we found some words. Let us see the meaning of those words first. Protested means objected. Pleading is the action of making an emotional or earnest appeal to someone. Guilty means at fault. Conflict means to be against someone. Humanitarian, concerned with human welfare. Conscience means sense of right and wrong. And magistrate is civil officer who administers law. Pronounce means declare or announce. Recess means break. And bail is an amount of money that a person who has been accused of a crime pays to a law court so that they can be released until their trial. So, in these lines we are informed that Gandhiji objected against the delay in the proceedings of the case. He read a statement in front of court in which he accepted his fault in a very humble manner. He said that he was not a lawbreaker and he didn't want to go against the law, but his duty towards humanity has a greater influence on him, and it forced him to do so. He refused to leave the town because he wanted to help the sharecroppers as it was his moral duty. The magistrate asked him to arrange for bail because he was going to give his judgment after 2-hour long break. Gandhiji refused to seek bail and later on he was released without it. So, next the text continues. When the court reconvened, the judge said he would not deliver the judgment for several days. Meanwhile, he allowed Gandhi to remain at liberty. Rajendra Prasad, Brij Kishore Babu, Maulana Mazharul Haq and several other prominent lawyers had arrived from Bihar. They conferred with Gandhi what would they do if he was sentenced to prison. Gandhi asked, why? The senior lawyer replied they had come to advise and help him. If he went to jail, there would be nobody to advise and they would go home. Reconvened means to start again. And after a small break, liberty means free, prominent, important, and conferred means granted. So, when the court proceedings restarted, judge refused to deliver any judgment for many days to come. But he allowed Gandhi to remain free. Some well-known lawyers like Rajendra Prasad, Brij Kishore Babu and Maulana Mazharul Haq came from Bihar to help and advise Gandhi. Gandhi asked that if he was sentenced to jail, then what would be their course of action? One senior lawyer replied that they were there to help him out, and if he was sentenced to jail, then they would return back. Next, the text continues. What about the injustice to the sharecroppers? Gandhi demanded the lawyers withdrew to consult. Rajendra Prasad has recorded the upshot of their consultations. They thought amongst themselves that Gandhi was totally a stranger and yet he was prepared to go to prison for the sake of peasants. And if they, on the other hand, being not only residents of the adjoining districts but also those who claim to have served these peasants, should go home, it would be shameful desertion. They accordingly went back to Gandhi and told him that they were ready to follow him into jail. The battle of Champaran is won, he exclaimed. Then he took a piece of paper and divided the group into pairs and put down the order in which each pair was to court arrest. So, here in these lines, injustice means unfairness, withdrew means left, upshot stands for result, consultations, discussions, and desertion is action of leaving a place or organization. So, we are informed that when Gandhi came to know about their decision, he asked them to help the sharecroppers who were facing unfairness. Rajendra Prasad and other lawyers, they concluded that if Gandhi could go to jail for the people of their area, although he was a stranger, then they should also follow him, as they had always claimed to serve their peasants and thought their legal and they thought that they always supported them and they have fought their legal battles too. So they decided that if Gandhi went to jail, then they would follow him too. And on hearing this, Gandhi assured them that their struggle for Champaran's peasants had been won. He divided the group into pairs of two and more and made a sequence in which they had to voluntarily surrender in the court. Next, the text reads like, several days later, Gandhi received a written communication from the magistrate informing him that Lieutenant Governor of province had ordered the case to be dropped. Civil disobedience has triumphed, the first time in modern India. So Gandhi and the lawyers now proceeded to conduct a far-flung inquiry into grievances of the farmers. Depositions by about 10,000 peasants were written down and notes made on other evidence. Documents were collected. The whole area throbbed with the activity of the investigators and the vehement protest of the landlords. In these lines, lieutenant means the governor, deputy governor, and then next the province means region or territory. Civil disobedience means the peaceful form of political protest. Triumph won. Then grievances means complaints. Dispositions, a formal written statement. Evidence means proof. Throbbed means produced a lot of vibration due to a huge crowd. Investigators, the inspectors, and vehement means showing strong feeling, forceful or passionate, intense feelings. So we are informed here that after some days the magistrate he sent a letter to Gandhi in which it was written that as per the orders of deputy governor, the case against him had been taken back. It was for the first time in modern India that a peaceful protest against the government had been won. Gandhi and other lawyers, they carried on with their working, and they started in-depth investigation into the injustice with the farmers. Statements of about 10,000 peasants were recorded and various documentary proofs were collected. The whole area vibrated with activity, the investigators and the protesting landlords. Next, the text continues. In June, Gandhi was summoned to Sir Edward Gate, the Lieutenant Governor. Before he went, he met leading associates and again laid detailed plans for civil disobedience if he should not return. Gandhi had 4 protracted interviews with Lieutenant Governor, who as a result appointed an official commission of inquiry into the Indigo sharecropper situation. The commission consisted of landlords, government officials and Gandhi as the sole representative of peasants. So in these lines, summoned means called, leading stands for prominent or popular, associates they are the supporters, and protracted means lasting for a long time or longer than expected at least. Representative is the spokesperson or agent. So we are told here that in June Gandhi was called up to be present before Deputy Governor Sir Edward Gate. Before meeting him, he met his chief supporters and made a side plan for civil disobedience. In case if he did not return, so he made a plan and he delegated the duties. Gandhi had 4 long interviews with the Deputy Commissioner, which led to the information of a commission, in the formation of a commission that inquired into the Indigo sharecropper situation. The commission had landlords, government officials, Gandhi, who was the only spokesperson for the peasants. Next, the text continues. Gandhi remained in Champaran for an initial uninterrupted period of 7 months, and then again for several shorter visits. The visit undertaken casually on the entreaty of an unlettered peasant, in the expectation that it would last a few days, occupied almost a year of Gandhi's life. The official inquiry assembled a crushing mountain of evidence against the big planters, and when they saw this, they agreed in principle to make refunds to the peasants. But how much must we pay? They asked Gandhi. So initial here means at the start, and then uninterrupted is continuous, entreaty and earnest or humble request, and assembled means gathered. So we are informed here that Gandhi remained in Champaran for 7 months. He also made several short visits later. His visit on the request of a peasant was presumed to last a few days, but it took a year. The official inquiry didn't favor the planters, hence they agreed to pay back to the peasants. But they questioned Gandhi regarding the amount to be repaid. So the text continues. They thought he would demand payment in full of money which they had illegally and deceitfully extorted from the sharecroppers. He asked only 50%. There he seemed adamant. Writes Reverend J. Z. Hodge, a British missionary in Champaran who observed the entire episode at close range. Thinking probably that he would not give way, the representatives of the planters offered to refund to the extent of 25%, and to his amazement, Mr. Gandhi took him at his word, thus breaking the deadlock. This settlement was adopted unanimously by the commission, and Gandhi explained that the amount of the refund was less important than the fact that the landlords had been obliged to surrender part of the money, and with it part of their prestige. Therefore, as far as the peasants were concerned, the planters had behaved as lords above the law. Now the peasants saw that he had rights and defenders. He learned courage. So in these lines, deceitfully means dishonestly, exhorted means took forcibly, adamant firm, amazement means surprise, obliged stands for required or made legally bound to do something, deadlock means a situation in which no progress can be made, unanimously means without opposition, and then prestige means honor or esteem, and defenders means protectors. So what we have read is that the money lenders, they had thought that Gandhi would ask for full payment of the money which they had taken from the peasants forcefully and fraudulently, but he asked only 50%, and his decision was firm. A missionary, Reverend J. Z. Hodge, who had a close watch on the matter, reported this. The planters offered to pay only 25% as they thought it would be rejected by Gandhi. He immediately accepted it. Gandhi said that the amount of money was not important, but by giving money, the planters had bowed down to the peasants and had given away their honor too. The planters, who earlier behaved as if they were above the law, now had to abide by it. This made the peasants realize their rights and gave them courage to fight for them. Next, the text continues. Events justified Gandhi's position. Within a few years, the British planters abandoned their estates and which reverted to the peasants. Indigo sharecropping disappeared. Gandhi never contented himself with the large political or economic solutions. He saw the cultural and social backwardness in Champaran villages and wanted to do something about it immediately. He appealed to the teachers Mahadev Desai and Narhari Parikh, two young men who had just joined Gandhi as disciples, and their wives volunteered for the work, and then several more came from Bombay, Pune and the other districts, distant parts of the land. Devdas, Gandhi's youngest son, arrived from the ashram. So did Mrs. Gandhi. Primary schools were opened in 6 villages. Kasturba taught the ashram rules on the personal cleanliness and community sanitation. So, in these lines, justified stands for marked as a good or legitimate reason. Abandoned means deserted, estates, property, reverted means returned, and then contented means willing to accept something. So, what we read here is that events whatever have happened in the past, they had proven Gandhi's position, and the British planters, they had to leave their property within the next few years, and these properties were returned back to the peasants. Indigo sharecropping soon came to an end, means total full stop on indigo sharecropping. Then Gandhi was not satisfied by achieving political and economic solutions. He sought to remove the cultural and social backwardness of the Champaran area. So, Gandhi wanted to do something to remove the backwardness in the villages of Champaran. He requested teachers such as Mahadev Desai and Narhari Parekh and their wives to teach the villagers. Both of them were followers of Gandhi. Many other volunteers came from Bombay and Pune to join them. Mrs. Gandhi and their youngest son Devdas, they also arrived from ashram for their help, and primary schools were opened in the 6 villages where Kasturba used to teach the ashram rules on cleanliness and community sanitation. Next, the text continues. Health conditions were miserable. Gandhi got a doctor to volunteer his services for 6 months. 3 medicines were available: castor oil, quinine and sulfur ointment. Anybody who showed a coated tongue was given a dose of castor oil. Anybody with malaria fever received quinine plus castor oil, and then anybody with skin eruptions received ointment plus castor oil. Gandhi noticed the filthy state of women clothes, and he asked Kasturba to talk to them about it. One woman took Kasturba into her hut and said, "Look, there is no box or cupboard there for clothes. The sari I am wearing is the only one I have." Miserable means unhappy. Volunteer means a person who offers his service free of cost. Eruptions here is a spot, rash or other mark appearing suddenly on the skin. So, we are informed that the health conditions of the people of Champaran were very poor. So, Gandhi got a doctor who offered his services free of cost for 6 months. There were only 3 medicines: castor oil, quinine and sulfur ointment. They were available with them. A patient with coated tongue was given castor oil. A malaria patient was served a dose of quinine, and a patient with a skin disorder was usually given ointment and castor oil. So, the women of the area used to wear dirty clothes. When Gandhi tried to know the reason through his wife, he was told that those were the only saris each of the women had at that time period. So, next the text continues. During his long stay in Champaran, Gandhi kept a long distance watch on ashram, and he sent regular instructions by mail and asked for financial accounts. Once he wrote to the residents that it was time to fill in the old latrine trenches and dig new ones, otherwise the old ones would begin to smell bad. The Champaran episode was a turning point in Gandhi's life. What I did, he explained, was a very ordinary thing. I declared that British could not order me about in my own country. So, here in these lines, instructions, they means orders or commands, residents means locals. So, we are informed while Gandhi was in Champaran, he kept a long distance vigil on the ashram. He used to send letters of orders regarding financial matters. Once he wrote to the locals that it was time to dig new latrines as the old ones had started giving foul smell. The Champaran incident changed Gandhi's life. He said that he had done a regular thing, and he had put his point across the Britishers that they could not order him in his own country. Next, the text continues. But Champaran did not begin as an act of defiance. It grew out of an attempt to alleviate the distress of large number of poor peasants. This was the typical Gandhi pattern. His politics were intervened with the practical, day-to-day problems of millions. His was not a loyalty to the abstractions, it was a loyalty to living human beings. In everything Gandhi did, moreover, he tried to mold a new free Indian who could stand on his own feet and thus make India free. So, in these lines, defiance means opposition, elevate means uplift, distress stands for torture, intervened, twisted, and then abstractions means something which exists only as an idea. So, what we have read is that Champaran Satyagraha was not an act of opposition, but it was an attempt to help out the poor and tortured peasants. This was Gandhi's way to solve issues. His politics was knitted up with the everyday problems faced by millions of people. He did not aim at the fulfillment of ideas, rather, he was concerned for the people. The basic idea was to serve humanity and make a free Indian who could stand for his own rights. Next, the text reads like, it is the last passage, and it reads like, early in the Champaran action, Charles Freer Andrews, the English pacifist who had become a devoted follower of Mahatma, came to bid Gandhi farewell before going on a tour of duty to the Fiji's island. Gandhi's loyal friends thought it would be a good idea for Andrews to stay in Champaran and help them. Andrews was willing if Gandhi agreed, but Gandhi was vehemently opposed. He said, "You think that in this unequal fight it would be helpful if we have an Englishman on our side? This shows the weakness of our heart. The cause is just and you must rely upon yourselves to win the battle. You should not seek a prop in Mr. Andrews because he happens to be an Englishman." He had read our minds correctly, Rajendra Prasad comments, and we had no reply. Gandhi in this way taught us a lesson in self-reliance. Self-reliance, Indian independence and help to sharecroppers were all bound together. So here in these lines we are informed pacifist is for the peacemaker, vehemently stands for in an intense manner, self-reliance is for self-sufficiency or self-support, and prop is support. So what we have read is that Charles Freer Andrews, who was a peacemaker, visited Gandhi before going to a tour of duty to the Fiji Islands. Gandhi's loyal friends wanted Andrew to stay at the ashram and help them, but Gandhi refused. He said that they did not need the help of Britishers, as it showed a lack of trust in their own abilities. He asked them not to seek any help from Mr. Andrews, as he was an Englishman. Rajendra Prasad later on he stated that Gandhi had read their thoughts and his reply served as a lesson of self-sufficiency for them. Being self-dependent, free and helping the peasants, all these acts of Gandhi were interconnected. So this is all about the textual explanation of the chapter. So my advice to you is go through this again so that you be in a better condition to deal with the extracts and the questions that follow this chapter. Take care. Good day.